Achieving peak performance is not about motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Peak performance is about systems, clarity, and disciplined execution. People who consistently get results are not more talented. They are simply more deliberate with how they think, plan, and act. Most people confuse being busy with being effective. They fill their days with tasks, messages, and meetings, yet feel stuck. High performers operate differently. They begin with outcomes, not activity. Before taking action, they ask one simple question: what result must be produced today for this day to matter? When your goals are vague, your actions become scattered. Work on a project is not a goal. Deliver a finished proposal by 10 a.m. is. The brain responds to clarity when the desired outcome is precise. The nervous system relaxes, focus increases, and execution becomes faster. This is why the first shift toward peak performance is learning to define results instead of listing tasks. Consider two professionals with the same workload. One writes a to-do list of 10 items and works nonstop all day. The other identifies 3 outcomes that will move the needle and structures the day around completing them. By the end of the day, the second person has created measurable progress, while the first feels exhausted and unsatisfied. Results always beat activity. Once outcomes are defined, time becomes your most valuable asset. High performers do not manage time loosely. They assign time intentionally. Instead of working whenever they feel ready, they decide in advance when focused work will happen. This approach eliminates decision fatigue and removes reliance on willpower. Time blocking is not about rigidity. It is about protection. When you assign a specific block of time to a specific outcome, you protect your attention from distractions. During that block, nothing else competes for focus. Messages wait. Notifications are silenced. Multitasking is eliminated. The mind performs best when it can concentrate fully on one objective. People often underestimate how much energy is lost through task switching. Every time attention shifts, the brain requires time to reorient. This hidden cost accumulates throughout the day. By grouping similar tasks and executing them in focused blocks, productivity increases dramatically without increasing effort. People often underestimate how much energy is lost through task switching. Every time attention shifts, the brain requires time to reorient. This hidden cost accumulates throughout the day. By grouping similar tasks and executing them in focused blocks, productivity increases dramatically without increasing effort. Tracking progress visually reinforces momentum. When progress is visible, motivation becomes automatic. The brain is wired to complete what it starts. Seeing advancement toward a goal creates a feedback loop that encourages continued action. This is why high performers measure what matters. They track outcomes, not just effort. Metrics do not need to be complex. Simple indicators work best. Words written, calls completed, minutes focused, revenue generated. When you can see progress, you can adjust intelligently. Without measurement, improvement is guesswork. Morning routines are another defining difference. Peak performers do not begin the day reacting to the world. They begin by setting the tone. Before external demands take control, they activate their mind and body intentionally. This activation creates psychological momentum that carries through the day. A powerful morning routine does not need to be long. It needs to be consistent. A brief period of reflection, visualization, and physical movement is enough to prime focus and confidence. When the day begins with intention, execution becomes smoother. When the day begins with distraction, recovery becomes difficult. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It is mental rehearsal. The brain uses imagined experience to prepare for action. When you visualize completing an outcome successfully, neural pathways associated with that action are strengthened. Execution becomes more familiar or less intimidating. This is why athletes, executives, and high performers across industries use visualization as a performance tool. Evening reflection completes the performance loop. The purpose of reflection is not self-criticism. It is optimization. By reviewing what worked and what did not, you refine your system. Small adjustments compound into large improvements over time. Ask yourself simple questions at the end of each day. What outcome did I complete? What distracted me? What will I do differently tomorrow? These questions turn experience into data. Data turns effort into progress. Accountability accelerates everything. When actions are tracked, behavior improves. This can be internal or external. A written log, a progress chart, a partner, or a public commitment. Accountability shifts goals from ideas into obligations. Once an action is tracked, it becomes harder to ignore. Consistency matters more than intensity. Peak performance is built through repeated execution, not occasional bursts of effort. Small daily wins reinforce identity. Over time, discipline becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes standard behavior. Many people wait to feel confident before acting. High performers act first, then confidence follows. Confidence is a byproduct of kept promises to yourself. Every completed outcome strengthens self-trust. Every avoided action weakens it. Execution is the fastest way to build confidence. The environment you operate in also matters. Reduce friction. Remove distractions. Prepare tools in advance. Structure your surroundings to support focused work. Willpower is limited. Systems are reliable. Peak performance is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently, with clarity and precision. When your goals are clear, your time is protected, your progress is tracked, and your actions are reviewed, results become inevitable. This is not a theory. It is a process. Apply it daily. Refine it weekly. Trust the system. The more you execute, the more capable you become. High performance is not a personality trait. It is a practice skill. Your results tomorrow are determined by the structure you create today. Decide what matters. Protect your focus. Execute deliberately. Review honestly. Repeat consistently. This is how peak performers are built.